To read the Bible in a year, you need 30 minutes to listen or read and 5 days each week. Join us here at St.Andrews for Bible in a Year.
Look how many books of the Bible we've checked off.
We've gotten through a lot.
Yeah. The New Testament, all we really have left is 1st and 2nd Peter and the James, which we'll start next week, and Johannine literature, which is, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John and Revelation.
Not that we want to start thinking about this, but, October is just about 3 months away.
Wow.
Because this is the last of the third quarter. Fourth quarter starts next week.
I really would like to hold on to the summer, and it's just like getting pulled away. It's like, we're only 3 months still here. We're only 6 months still here. Christmas is in, 180 days?
Less than. Right? Yeah, something like that.
Yes. I got a message today from a preschool teacher. They're starting to get stuff ready. I'm like, I'm not ready to start getting school ready. I want to hold on to summer. Hold on fast because it's going anyway.
Yep.
All right.
July's ending. Mission week is about to hit.
That's true. It really is. Yes. Well, that's an interesting segue. Haggai. No. Habakkuk.
Sorry, you had me panic there for a moment. I was like, wait, did I read the wrong one? Again? Not again.
It's happened before.
Once, twice.
I just said the wrong one. Habakkuk and Zephaniah are these prophets about something that's about to hit.
I appreciated both of these because in Kings and Chronicles, it's just, this king was righteous, this king was not. And it's
It's not a lot, yeah.
big picture, but you get into the minor prophets pre-exile, and it's, the people were just as corrupt and broken. And you get that, I think it's more with, you get it in both, where you have these elements of how the people are just as broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
The beautiful part is there's hope.
A little bit. Is it Habakkuk that goes back and forth a little bit more?
I think so.
Yeah, Habakkuk goes back and forth a little bit. But Zephaniah, I don't know if it's confusing if we talk about them together. It's just, everything is rough. And then finally, hold on, I have to turn the page in again.
It's halfway through 3.
14, chapter 3, 14, and it ends at 20, right? It's finally when it turns towards hope.
Oh, interesting.
What?
I figured, for me, I started seeing the turn towards hope in verse 9.
Did you?
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it.
See, I felt like that was, again, looking ahead towards Christ, looking ahead towards this time of adoption into what was going to be God's salvation.
All right, I guess if I look at it, it could be slightly more hopeful.
You got to find it wherever you can get it.
Yeah.
But both of them are looking ahead towards that restoration, post-exile, and with a Savior.
They're both also watching. Both of them, right, are in that time period of Babylon is coming. I think both of them are to Judah.
Yeah, because
right?
the northern kingdom is fallen.
It's already fallen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zephaniah is right there. It says at the beginning is during the time of King Josiah, which was like our bright spot. It was our hope, right? But yet that warning of
Well, and even in that,
Babylon is coming.
it's a decline where it's it's good, but it does not end well for him. And it, again, is always heading towards that exile. Which isn't fun, but it's a hope towards the future.
Yeah. So people talk about Habakkuk as like this watchman on the wall. Like he's standing there sort of looking and watching and seeing. And that's always been an image that's helpful for me in thinking about this book. Yeah.
Well,
And it says that at the top of 2. I will take my stand at the watch post and look out and see.
And even the language he uses is very much in that of speaking towards the warnings that are coming.
Yeah. And God answering. I mean, there's this call and response, right? I mean, he cries out saying, you know, what's it like, how long shall I cry for help? And, you know, God says, no, there is something coming. The Babylonians are coming, right? And he's like, seriously? Like, how's that supposed to help? But it's this sort of back and forth and this focus again on idols and how people keep putting value in these idols and causing that problem. And I verse 19 in chapter 2, I think just the way it says it is so clear. Like, woe to him that says to a wooden thing, awake, to a stone, a silent stone, arise. Can this teach? Behold, it is overlaid with gold and silver, but there is no breath at all in it.
That feels very... Who was it? It was Paul in Acts? I think it was Paul in Acts when he went to Corinth. Saying you have all of these stone images and carved images and one to an unknown God, and he turns that into...
Oh, that was in Athens, wasn't it?
Was it in Athens?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, but the sermon, like the... And then he invites them back to know who God is and calls God the unknown God that we don't know yet. Yeah. But this is... Yeah. I don't know. They both do have that turn, though, right? I mean, kind of like the Psalms. Like, you'll have these Psalms that are very lamentful, and then they turn just a bit. And, you know, he says at 3 and 16, you know, very, very descriptive. My legs tremble beneath me, yet I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon people who invade us. And then there's finally this turn in 19. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes my tread on high places. Which is an image that's been used a lot in Christian literature.
Well, and Habakkuk doesn't really get to that hope until those last couple of verses. There's more condemnation and warning.
Yeah.
But again, there's always that turn towards hope. Always that restoration.
But it's sometimes it's more like a hint.
Yeah.
Or like a hope than like a full turn. Because it's this echoing promise that can feel unfulfilled, I think, in a lot of ages. And I think we need to honor that. I mean, I think there are places in this world that people surely feel that, like, and may even question, like, is there hope? What does that look like?
Well, and we do live in one of those moments.
Yeah.
The hope is scattered.
Yeah. And people try to cling to other things for hope, right? Sort of like the idols.
Well,
And that's tricky.
idolism has many forms, not just a carved image.
It does. So Zephaniah, the language it opens with really struck with me. That like sweeping away.
Mm.
Do you remember the never-ending story?
The nothing?
Yeah, and the wind sweeping things away.
And it just turns to ash.
It's just nothing. It's just nothing.
We nicknamed my car Falcor. So
Nice.
yes, I remember the never-ending story, but that is a good image. That
The sweeping away.
Nothingness.
The sweeping of the way.
all-consuming.
And even that be silent before the Lord, right? They get to the end and it's the nothing. Like there is this silence and this darkness, but then there's this light. But beyond that, it's also these images of Jerusalem are really prominent. It's very clear. Like on that day, chapter 1, verse 10. On that day, declares the Lord, a cry will be heard from the fish gate, a wail from the second quarter. Like these are clear landmarks. It's this gate. It's this section. And this searching of Jerusalem with lamps.
It's a pillaging of a city.
Yeah.
It's
The sound of the day of the Lord is bitter. It's verse 14.
well, and even the breaking of the walls is within that language. And those walls have held history, but importance to what Jerusalem was for such a long time, and they will again in... Wow, who rebuilt the walls? Why am I blanking?
Nehemiah.
I kept thinking Nahum.
Nehemiah.
I kept thinking going with Nahum. It's like, it's not Nahum.
Nehemiah. Yes. Yeah, and there's places in Jerusalem you can see, like, they have, like, a cutout, with glass. You can sort of see different sections of walls that were built. And Hezekiah, we talked about him last week a little bit, is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hezekiah, when it talks about, him building up the walls, and I wonder, because it talked about him bringing water into the city, and I should know more about it, but when I was there, decades ago now, we did this walk through Hezekiah's tunnel. And you feel like Indiana Jones, right? You really do. Like, there's water, about this much water, and you just walk through this, like, brick, stone, carved tunnel that's like, I don't know, it takes like a half an hour to walk through. But yeah. And, that was a long time ago, right? But that's still there. But yeah, things get torn down.
That's right. It was just a feeling of claustrophobia for a moment. Small tunnel, water. But yeah,
very low chance of floods in Jerusalem,
which is true. But the city walls were the lifeblood of a city.
Yeah,
because they provided protection. They provided safety and harbor, a place to gather and trade and live.
Yeah. So chapter 2 has a little bit haunting, especially verses 3 and 4. Seek the Lord, all you who are humble of the land, who to his justice command. Seek righteousness, seek humility, perhaps that you may be hidden on the day of the anger of the Lord. For Gaza shall be deserted. Feels really echoed right now.
Yeah. But that has always been a conflicted area.
Yes.
It doesn't justify. But there has always been conflict.
Yeah.
And it should grieve us.
Well, and we should be conflicted about it, I think.
Yeah. Well, as much as we can look and see the hope in this, it is that, as you pointed out earlier, there's a balance in the grief as well that is, this is a moment where everything changed.
Where everything falls apart.
And we see these cycles, that we've seen these cycles in everything we've read so far as well.
It's interesting that part of the hope in Zephaniah, I'm in chapter 13, is how God will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria. It's like their enemies will be destroyed. But then again, and he will make Nineveh a desolation. So it's so interesting to read that, right? Because we read that, but then we have Jonah that says Nineveh is saved. It's very interesting.
But Nineveh gets destroyed within a generation after Jonah's ministry, doesn't it?
I have no idea. I don't know. But it feels like it makes that question of like, well, if Nineveh, which is like one of the worst cities, right, can be redeemed by repentance, like why not them? That's a little bit hard. So when it finally turns, though, it's really beautiful. And there's all of this singing. Chapter 3:14, it calls them to sing. And then a verse my mom loves that she uses a lot, which is really beautiful, is Zephaniah 3:17. The Lord your God is in your midst. It's not future, it's right now. The mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. And it almost feels like a lullaby, right? Like you quiet that child in love as you're putting them to sleep and sing over them. Maybe not loudly, but...
No, but I mean, even going into verse 18, I mean, it continues that kind of lullaby feel to it. That embrace and safety in it.
Mm-hmm. I will gather you together. I will restore your fortunes. Yeah. And that's why it's a prophecy, because the moment doesn't feel like restoration is possible.
But prophecies are meant to give hope as much as there is the condemnation.
The balance is sometimes a little off, but okay, I'll go with it. Yeah.
But that is our balance as well.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said that, light shines brightest in the darkness. And in that is where faith and hope and love abide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul in Corinthians?
Paul in 2 Corinthians feels very different than Paul in 1 Corinthians.
Thank you. I thought I was going a little crazy on that one.
I was like, very interesting.
It is a very different tone and feel.
But it starts the same, right? Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ, by the will of God. Like, that's the way he describes himself in both.
Yeah. Well,
Except it's different, right? In 1 Corinthians, it's, and our brother Sosthenes, and here, our brother, and Timothy, our brother.
So it feels like there's a good chunk of time that happens between these.
There must be.
And where was this? Paul even speaks a little bit about having visited Corinth, and it sounds like it's after the first letter to Corinth, but before this.
Yeah, there's some history.
Yeah.
There's some history that's hinted out and not clearly spelled out.
Some time has gone by.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because, like, the first part is about comfort. But then it shifts, and it's like something happened in Asia. And we, Paul speaking about him and those who are with him, were utterly burdened beyond strength and despaired of life itself. But it was to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God, who raises the dead. So, I mean, like, what happened in Asia? It doesn't lay it out, but everyone knows, except for us. Everyone who's reading it in Corinth knows. And someone asked for help with prayer. And it's just such a different, I don't know. The second experience of grace it talks about in verse 15. And how Paul, this we hear this a lot, right? I wanted to come to you first.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the big part for me in 2 Corinthians that makes me ponder. Because verse 2 starts out, "For I made up my mind not to make another painful visit to you." So it's like he decided not to visit. And it really makes you wonder, like, how is that received? Is there disappointment? Is there frustration? Do they feel like there's this broken promise? I don't know.
That felt like it was a little. It comes up a little bit more in reference later in the last half of 2 Corinthians, where he's starting to speak about these other super apostles.
Yeah.
That feels very.
Like, what's a super apostle?
It felt a little like sarcastic. Which is how I was reading that, where it's okay. It Yeah, all right, I'll say it. It felt like a little bit of Paul looking in, seeing how they had fallen to some form of like a prosperity gospel. And to what was, yes, it's Christian, but we're just off by a hair. Because the last half of Corinthians is him kind of defending his ministry, but also trying to correct.
I also wonder if it's something like a physical presence that's different. Because it's interesting. Like chapter 10, verse 9, Paul writes, "I don't want to appear to be frightening you with my letters," which, let's be honest, do some of his letters freak us out a little bit? Yeah,
oh, yeah.
They're kind of harsh. Yeah. "For they say his letters are weighty and strong." I will agree with that. "But his bodily presence is weak, and his speech of no account." And then down in 11, verse 6, it says, "Even if I am unskilled in speaking." Which is so startling to me, because you just talked about like that speech in Athens, which is so amazing.
Well, but you also have 12, where Paul's again highlighting that thorn.
Yeah.
So there's something going on that we have a lot of missing pieces for.
Yeah.
But it's still a letter written in the love and grace that Paul has for Corinth as being a part of that foundation of that church.
Yeah, and it weaves in comfort and sorrow and, nudging people towards something else. And chapter 3 is interesting with that reference to Moses. Like how he comes down and the glory's too much, so he has to wear this veil.
But it becomes him still wearing that veil to cover how the glory has departed.
Yes. But how Paul uses it that the Spirit must have even more glory. And so this veil and unveiled, that really everything is veiled except through Christ, the veil is taken away and there's freedom. There's also this echo of do not lose heart. Like, do not lose heart. Let the light shine. And there's a section of 4 into 5 that's often used in funerals. And we know if this tent is our earthly home is destroyed. And we walk by faith and not by sight. And again, jumping up, 4:16, "So we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day." So that renewal can look different in different people.
And that's one of the pieces of Paul that's challenging, because he has grasped that almost duality. Well, no, not almost, but that duality of our existence of
Body and soul.
Body and soul.
Yeah.
We ache in the real world, but we ache for the eternal.
I really loved that section in 6. When he talks about endurance and affliction and sleepless nights. But then he also, in verse 11, talks about how our heart is wide open and you're not restricted by us. You're restricted by your own affections. In return, widen your hearts also. I just love that expression, like widen your hearts.
It's almost a good benediction. That is a good benediction.
It is. We should write a benediction. Widen your hearts, that they be wide enough to meet the heart of Christ. How's that? We'll keep working on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about something with footprints.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sounds like a different one.
Yeah.
Maybe there can be more than one.
Well, that is the beauty of Scripture as well, though. With the Spirit, it always strikes different.
Now, Titus is lifted up in this book. Titus seems amazing. You know, we don't have that much about Titus. We have one small book. But Titus really gets a lot of focus in the midst of this. We rejoice still more at the joy of Titus because his spirit has been refreshed by you all. That's 7:13.
So you were saying that, and then I got struck by Paul's opening to that whole section. Make room in your hearts for...
Yeah.
widen your hearts. But yes, and that is unfortunate, because Titus seems to be... He starts being in the room for a lot of things. And we just have these little snippets.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes back in, 8:16. But thanks to God who put into the heart of Titus the same earnest care I have for you. So it very much feels like Titus is his ambassador in this one, who is like holding the presence of Christ, but in a way also the presence of Paul.
Well, and he spends after Titus, he spends a chapter on giving. And this is a bit of a transition. Because he goes from the joyous commendations, the lifting up to, I guess, part of the problem? I don't know, there seems to be something subtle going on in Corinth, again, that is helping change that language. Because it's, I think it's in chapter 9 where Paul says, I don't want to take from you because of the burden that it... Might be misquoting that badly.
Well, it is tricky in the way, right? Paul was a tent maker, but he also, the ministry needed financial support. Let's be honest, all ministry needs financial support. And sometimes that's the blessing people have, to generously give and pour into ministry and prayerfully trust that God's going to do something with it. But, it's not always easy to ask people to financially support things, right?
Right.
One of my friends worked for the Jesus Project for several years, and so she had to raise support every year, for her own living expenses, which is... I don't know. It feels like a really hard thing to do.
I've known missionaries who have had to do that, and it's a challenge.
It is.
It was verse 5, so I thought
Verse 5.
Necessary to urge brothers to go on ahead, and arrange in advance for the gift you have promised, so that it may be ready as willing gift, not as an extraction.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want to have to... It's like he doesn't want to have to ask. Could it already just be ready? And can it just be a part of the celebration of gathering and not have to... I hear that.
Well, and Paul's missions have... they cost money to go.
Well, and you wonder how this network of arranging letters also worked.
Well, you got to send people, yeah.
So it's not just him. There's also this network of people being sent. Like Titus is sent, and Timothy is sent, and Timothy stays, and, there's all of this.
Although that fits a bit with what was the sending of the 72 that we talked about this week.
Sunday. Yeah.
Of going where you're accepted and eating strange food and being a part of.
Yeah. And that does require vulnerability, right? Some people are, when they travel, will stay with family and friends, and other people will always want to stay in a hotel, and it's that sort of like The visit is different if you stay in a hotel as if you stay with someone.
But it is kind of a beautiful reflection, though, to see how that plays out in what is the Acts Church, what is the ministry that happens, and how it grows.
Yeah. And it does certainly grow out of Jesus' call and sending of people in the gospel. I mean, that certainly is what we still look back on as a foundation. Certainly it's what Paul's using as an example. Oh, yeah. So where does this book take us? What does this book give us? The relationships are complicated? Because that's how I'm feeling about this one.
I think that's accurate. Well, and not every relationship is always positive.
Yeah, you have to go through stuff, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the relationships that are strongest are the ones that have gone through refining moments, and it feels like that's a piece of what has happened and continues to happen, and the complexity of a relationship between two individuals multiplied by a whole
By a lot.
city.
Yeah. Well, and this is how the church is strung together at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, there's no denomination, there's no overarching thing. It's these letters connecting people, and people are trying to live into this, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're figuring out a different way,
And so even the last half of this letter feels like some of that complication of what is that almost third wave of ministry that's rising up after the apostles.
I feel, though, if I shift this a bit, it can feel like how I'm feeling about Bible in a year, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's not the simplest thing in my life anymore. It's like, okay, what are we going through now? But yet, you know, going through it and wrestling with it and holding on to it, right? Hold something that is not too far ahead.
It feels like what's not too far ahead is already over.
Well, it's not, though. What was I trying to explain to Riley the other day? Oh, okay. So, I mean, when he finished kindergarten, he knows all the sounds of the letters, right? And he's ready to piece them together and work on reading, right? But that can feel hard. So I was explaining to him like swimming, because this summer he has got it. He is like a fish underwater. And so I'm like, okay, remember last year when swimming was still a struggle? And he's like, yeah. And now you've got it? He's like, yes. I'm like, that's what reading is like. You know, when you get to this certain point, you just get it.
I remember that. Because it was a rising fun point of introducing new and favorite books from childhood to even Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, we're a little ways from that.
Yeah, Ray and I just finished that.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great book.
Yeah, complicated book.
Yes.
But then the discussion and the growth that comes out of it. And again, it's that complicated nature of a relationship that always grows, but yeah.
Yeah. But that hope to, like, that's something we can help people learn.
Well, and to grow
Right.
into and grow
Yes.
with.
That just because it becomes hard, don't stop.
Yeah.
Like, there's something more. And I think Paul very accurately represents that, because that's true of faith, right? Things can get very complicated. The church you love can go through really difficult times, and it feels like everything's falling apart. You know, your own faith, you can feel like God is silent for long periods of time. And yet, as you always say, there is hope.
This shows huge patterns of cyclic walking with God. And it's not always comfortable.
Yeah. But here we have chapter 13, verse 11. Finally, brothers, I will add, and sisters, rejoice. Aim for restoration. Comfort one another. Agree with one another. Live in peace. And the God of love and peace will be with you. there's those moments of peace, those moments where everything comes together, right? But getting to those moments where everything comes together is not always simple. But the striving makes it even more amazing.
And it's worth it in the end.
It is. And it's better than doing nothing, right? This is the other thing I'm trying to teach with a child. Like, they don't want to try. They don't want to start. And so they're not getting the fullness of that, right? Like, that accomplishment of working through something and wrestling through it and getting there. We need to do that as adults, too.
Yes. And there should be stickers when we do, like third quarter Bible in a year stickers.
I think I need one of those. I think we just finished the third quarter.
Because that's it. That's third quarter.
That is third quarter. So there's just one left.
That's it. 12
Look
weeks.
at that. Jeremiah, James, John has to be coming. Oh, wow. We're going to do everything else first. 1 Peter, 2 Peter. There's John. Week 43. Ezekiel and John. Interesting.
Oh. Huh.
Oh, man. Job and Revelation? Seriously?
I mean, as you have pointed out, Revelations is a book of hope. And Job eventually gets to hope in the last 5 verses.
All right, I'm going to have to wait for that and see how that goes. That's not immediately making sense to my mind. So into the fourth quarter. So we are moving into the fourth quarter, which means, I remember running a mile in junior high. The third lap was always the hardest.
Yeah, it's that last couple of minutes.
Because you're tired, but you're not close yet. But you get to that last lap, you're like, there's only one more. There's only one more. But the journey is full of opportunity. So I want to go back to our favorite verse, the favorite section of the day, right? May we widen our hearts.
Amen.
Peace be with you.
I love